A graduate course at Stony Brook University recently concluded that Fire Island National Seashore should be designated as a World Heritage Site. The graduate students have been studying the issue for several months and recently released their final report saying that the 32-mile-wide Fire Island is a multi-billion-dollar asset to Long Island and acts as a natural barrier against devastating storms like Hurricane Sandy.
They believe that a shore erosion protection project is justified. That would cover the South Shore from the Fire Island Inlet to Montauk Point, and that would call for replenishment of the eroded dunes and the beaches. Their conclusion was influenced greatly by the occurrence of the Sandy storm. And I told them that I had arranged for the storm to take place to give meaning to the course. The second project that they took on was whether or not Fire Island National Seashore was of sufficient importance to be designated as a World Heritage Site. And they've come to the conclusion that that also is something worth pursuing.
I used to believe that, why should we fund, something where sand is always going to be, sucked out the sea and sucked back into sea, and if the currents are just going to bring the sand in anyway, like, why is this important? And then all of a sudden, well, one, I looked at a map of Fire Island and I saw it acted as a natural barrier between heavy waves and where I live on the South Shore. And then after Hurricane Sandy, I really became in favor of shore erosion protection because it, provided just that. I mean, instead of an inch of water in my main house, it would have been halfway up my house because, if it wasn't for the fact that, because I, had like 2.5 feet in my back room, which was completely flooded, plus an inch in my main house, it would have been a lot worse, and the water would have exceeded further than just Montauk Highway. It would have probably went, it probably would have, just either almost touched Sunrise Highway, or it would have been, or it would have actually got to its way to Sunrise Highway, thus causing more. This would have caused more damage and, providing emergency support, providing, evacuation routes.
Initially, I had come in with the idea of we have to do a cost-benefit analysis to do this, and after doing research, it just seems that the costs, the benefits actually supersede the costs. So even if you look at the number of how much it's going to cost, the benefits that we get on the local economy level, the state economy level, and just for enjoyment for all the people here, it's really worth it.
As a group, I guess we decided that we should look towards making Fire Island part of the World Heritage Sites of the world, as well as just protecting Fire Island basically so that as a barrier island it serves its purpose and the mainland of Long Island doesn't get hit as bad by any storms, especially since Hurricane Sandy was such a big, devastated the island and devastated communities along the coast of Long Island. I worked on the environmental part of the paper, and in my study of everyone else's papers, we found that, I guess, Fire Island is a national seashore for a reason. It has a sunken forest. It has lighthouses. It has all these really beautiful natural resources and, I guess, animals and plants that are unique to Fire Island, and that should be protected. Fire Island's super important just as a barrier island to all of Long Island, as well as a tourist destination.
Fire Island is unique because it's home to several different types of communities and several landmarks, such as the William Floyd Estate and the Fire Island Lighthouse. And what a lot of people neglect to think about is the significance that this has as a cultural resource for the area, as well as for New York State and the country.
From our research, we found out that actually, if you look at it, we came up, from the numbers he presented, we came up with 10 miles, which is to 3.9 million cubic yards. And if you do the numbers, you come up with $4 million per mile. That means that it'll cost about just $40 per foot per beach for renourishment. So we just think that whilst quite recently on April 16th, 2012, even Governor Cuomo, who actually believes in the project and thinks that we have to, with the Sandy, we have to look into it. And also on November 16th, he came out with a report about he came up with a report whereby he actually wants to invest about $40 million into Fire Island inlet dredging. That if anybody is outside the U.S. and sees this kind of movement being done, it could call for tourism, it could call for other things, and that could even help with Fire Island applying for World Heritage Site. So we believe that it is a good cause that has to be done.
It can be easily understood why there are people who want to designate the Fire Island National Seashore as UNESCO World Heritage Site. For starters, there is a tremendous amount of natural resources, from miles of sand to surf, filled with flora like sassafras and shadbrush, and also fauna ranging from deer to foxes. The globally rare and centuries-old sunken forest is additionally among the natural resources found on Fire Island. And currently, the National Parks Department is out for the engineering of the Fire Island Inlet for the United States Corps of Engineers. The anticipated impact on the environment of Fire Island has been studied, including the potential impact on native organisms should renourishment take place.
Finally, we would like to call upon Governor Cuomo to read our report and to finally make the Fire Island Inlet Montauk Point project a reality.
Chris Collora reporting, Long Island Online News.